Life as You Own It with Mark McDougall and Craig Miller.
Remember, you got questions, we've got answers. 800-492-4664. You may not take the time to educate yourself about the single largest investment and opportunity you have, that investment in the roof over your head in real estate.
We talk about your home, financing, making investments in real estate. We give you the facts, folks.
You know, it's just good old-fashioned horse sense that we like to talk about. And we also throw in some other horse stuff, too, just for fun.
All right, I'm Mark McDougall, and
I'm Craig Miller. Believe it or not, I'm back.
Guess who's back? Craig is back. I'm not going to sing
that.
That's a real song.
Okay.
Well, if you're checking us out for the first time, we are Life as You Own It, and for the last month, it's been kind of life as I and my friends.
As Mark interprets
as Mark interprets it. But now we've got the other half of the show, or maybe it's the other 7/8 of the show, is back, feeling better. Craig was had a little bit of surgery, had a bicep repaired. I think, where was it, your flexing competition?
No, just I'm trying to help a guy. I'm trying to do a good deed.
Trying to do a good deed and hurt him. It hurt himself. He's getting a little old. Well, if you're checking us out again for the first time, welcome aboard. We are the show that covers everything under the roof. Well, almost everything. And we want to make sure that you're an educated, sophisticated, savvy consumer when it comes to all those big purchases, especially the big purchase of the roof over your head. Whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you've got to insure that home. You've got to make sure you've got a financial plan. You've got to make sure that you are undertaking the remodel projects that give you the best ROI. That and so much more we cover each and every weekend. And if you're a regular listener, you know we like to have some fun. But our goal is, number one, that you leave here just a little bit smarter than before we started talking. So thanks again for joining us. And Craig, are you warmed up, ready to go?
I'm getting there. It'll take
rusty.
I've got a little bit of what do you call it, studio rust or whatever. So
radio
rust. But I'll be tuned up by the end. By the time in the last 4 minutes of the show, I should be 100%.
Well, you are definitely good for about 4 minutes each show.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'll try to do 4.5 this time.
All right. Okay, so spring training is in full swing on Life as You Own It. We're going to begin our 3-part springtime series today on taking care of the roof over your head. It's your biggest investment. Don't neglect it. Got your springtime maintenance tips checklist, how to save the most on your utility bills, and great suggestions to cut your tax bill during this 3-part series. Make sure you tell your friends, your family, your loved ones. Great information each and every weekend. Also, have you completed your $1 billion bracket yet, Craig?
Nope, I won't be, but I have not.
Why not? $1 billion?
Yeah, well, because I don't want to mess with the group that's offering it, I guess.
Okay, well, we've got your odds of winning, and by getting it perfect, your cool $1 billion will also improve your odds of getting the best deal on that refinance opportunity that is certain to follow your completion of that bracket. And Craig, what is spring without taxes? What is spring without taxes? What is that? It would be. Where would you be if you didn't have taxes?
Heaven.
Not a U.S. citizen. Yeah, that's right. Heaven. Like cornflakes without the milk, like Captain without Tennille, or like Craig without Mark. Because you complete me, Craig. All that and more or less. We've got some 2014 tax tips to save some money. So you've got enough to complete your springtime maintenance checklist that's going to be coming up later in the hour. And just like the weather, the springtime housing market, it is heating up. That is a good thing. But what happens if your appraisal comes in lower than your purchase price? What do? Well, Craig's going to tell you you've got some options, so you want to stay tuned for that. Rates, where are they now? Where are they headed? Craig's going to give you the scoop. And Craig, there's another fun segment of the show. We've had people filling in for you for the last 4 weeks that you're on the hot seat on. What is it? Tell them.
Should you stay or should you go? I know we've haven't gotten to participate in any of them. I'm sure we've gotten a lot of requests, but we've got some today.
That's right. What is the should you stay or should you go scenario?
That's where we allow you, the listener. You're welcome anytime, 24 hours a day. You can send us an email or you can call our 800 number. But we want you to tell us where you're at in a particular transaction or what you're contemplating doing, and we're going to tell you whether you should stay or go. Most of the time, we're talking about something as simple as you saying, I owe this much on my house. We think it's worth this much. My rate is currently this. I plan on staying in the home for however long. You let us know the basics. We tell you whether you should stay with what you've got or go to a new refinance. Or if you're looking at purchasing a home, moving from renting to purchasing, upsize, downsize, you name it. If you've got a scenario and you've got a question, we've got the answers. Send them to us, and we'll let you know whether you should sit tight where you're at or go to the better thing.
All right, an important piece of that equation is how do you send them to us?
So you're going to send us an email. It's going to be questions or question, whichever one.
Either one.
At lifeasyouownit.com. So send us that email. That's probably the easiest way. Or you can call our 800 number, 1-800-492-4664.
Yes, you got it.
Just call that 800 number, leave a message, and if you don't speak to somebody live, and we'll jot down the facts or pertaining to your question, we'll get it taken care of on the air.
Okay, we are very proud of what we consider a fairly substantial accomplishment. It is the addition of new stations and affiliates across the United States, and each seems like every month we're adding some new team members, and right now we're at 35 plus iHeartRadio plus iTunes plus. Because of the feedback we've received from many of our listeners, you now can get a behind-the-scenes look at our show. You can check us out on YouTube for full video podcasts of the show. But remember, it's a little bit of a work in progress. But we want to give a big thanks to Christian Leroy and Rosa Bocher, the backbone of the Life as You Own It empire, and responsible for ensuring we provide you with the resources you need to own it. How can we help? That's the question we ask each and every weekend. Email us, call us, and coming soon, 24-hour accessibility to team members of the Life as You Own It network. Also, you can tweet us, you can find us on Facebook, ask your questions there, or you know what? Go old school. Send us a letter.
Just mail us a letter.
Mail us a
Tony
letter.
Express.
If anyone remembers how to do that. Okay, that's the music, Craig. Should you stay or should you go? Bobby in Orlando, Florida emailed, guys, thanks for having your show available to podcast. Otherwise, I would never be able to listen. I have a condo worth $400 to $450, and I owe $195,000 on it. My rate is 4.25 on a 20-year fixed. Should I rent this place out or sell it and buy a different type of rental property like a small single-family home? Whew, Bobby.
Bobby's got a call.
A lot of layers to that onion. Peel back a few real quickly, Craig, because you've got 3 seconds.
All right. Well, first off, stay or go. I'm gonna lean toward go, and when I mean go, I mean sell it and try to look at some other investments. However, this is a tough one. We don't know exactly the condo market for rent, what they can be collected, what kind of cash flow would be available with the mortgage. There's a lot of unanswered questions here. However, in my personal opinion, that's a pretty expensive piece of rental property, and might be better suited to be sold if the market's strong right now. Take advantage of get that equity and just buy one or two other investment property that might be better suited to rent.
All right, short answer is go, go, go. Sell the property. The longer answer is do a financial plan. Do a mortgage plan. Figure out how this fits into your short and long-term goals. Can you afford it? What's the best choice for you? All right, Craig, good job. I'm
thinking that $200,000 of equity that Bobby has or more would be great for picking up a couple $200,000 properties, having two $200,000 properties, and having similar indebtedness and similar equity between the two of them, but having more opportunity for greater cash flow between the two properties.
Hey, Bobby, and I'm throwing this out to you, Bobby. If you don't, if I say, do you know the cap rate, and you say, what the heck is the cap rate? You shouldn't be a landlord or you shouldn't be acquiring investment property until you understand that, because that's the important component of determining whether it is a good investment for you. Folks, as we always say, be an educated consumer, be an educated investor. Don't take unnecessary risks, and look at the bottom line. Do the break-even formula. All right, Craig. So you're getting warm, ready to go? You want to jump into it? Folks, each and every week we give you interest rates. You want to start touching on those interest rates before we take our first break?
I'll prep everybody for them. I'll get to the exact numbers when we get back from our break. Every week we do bring you rates, folks, and they're based on a $200,000 loan amount. These are the national averages. This assumes 20% or more equity, perfect credit, refinance or purchase. So keep in mind, numbers can vary depending on credit score, equity position, and so on. When we get back from the break, I'll share with you 30-year fixed rate averages, 15-year fixed rate averages, 5-year ARMs, and FHA 30-year fixed rate averages. Stay tuned to Life as You Own It. Back in a few.
All right, we're back. Mark McDougald, Craig Miller. Craig, you look like you're in a little pain.
I am.
You feeling that?
Not taking any pain pills.
Head hurting.
Got to be able to talk about all this fine financial stuff.
Got to be in tune. You know, Craig's, your arm looks pretty nasty.
Yeah.
You're not recommending that as an elective surgery?
No.
The bicep
Don't
enhancement into
Have anyone
and why-
cut open your forearm and screw your biceps tendon back into the forearm. It's not the drywall.
It's kind of painful, right?
Your bone. Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
All right. Okay, folks. So before we took the break, Craig queued you up so you would be ready to jot down those national averages on interest rates. Craig.
And like we said, folks, these are averages. So there's many variables. The one thing we always preach about is the closing costs and fees. You've got to watch those fees. 9 out of 10 times when someone takes out a mortgage loan, whether they're refinancing or purchasing a home, there's a number of fees they're incurring for that transaction. Some of those are sunk costs passed on by the lender for things such as appraisals and title fees. A lot of times there's a bunch of junk fees or unnecessary points in there. You've got to know those costs. You've got to pay attention to this math. What you need to know is the break-even formula. You can find that on lifeasyouownit.com. We lay it out there so you can calculate how long will it take me to save money, actually net some savings after this refinance transaction is done. Obviously, if you're lowering your interest rate and you're saving some monthly interest amount expense with the new loan, you are saving some money on a monthly basis. But if you spent thousands of dollars on the front end to get it done, you've actually taken several steps backward, and it's going to take some time to catch up to that with that monthly savings. So if it costs $3,000 to do it, and you're saving $100 a month of real savings, well, it's going to take you 30 months to break even. You've got to know that going into it, whether it makes sense or not based on how long you plan to stay in the home. And folks, remember, go to the website and do the math for yourself. It's not how much your payment goes down. It's how much interest savings per month there is between the loan you have now and the new loan. That's a big difference. You may be going from 17 years left on your mortgage back to 30 years again and dropping your payment significantly because you think it's all savings. That's just deferment of cash flow. You're picking up cash flow savings but not economic savings because you've gone backwards. So we want you to know how to do your own math so that you're well informed and educated before you pull the trigger or sign on the dotted line. 30-year fixed rates, folks, 4.35 versus 4.32 the week before. So a slight tick up on the 30-year fixed conventional mortgage. 15-year conventional, 3.38 versus 3.33. Again, slight tick upward. We're seeing a little bit of that movement. 5-year ARMs, 3.38 versus 3.37. Negligible there, but a small uptick. And FHA 30-year fixed, 4.19 versus 4.16. Bottom line is rates have ever so slightly moved upward. What we're seeing pattern-wise for the past several weeks is a seesaw, very small one, but back and forth where rates take a little bit of they go up a little bit an eighth or a quarter, they go back down an eighth or a quarter. You can't time it perfectly, folks. You've got to just have the math in front of you to know when it makes sense and have a certified mortgage planner that understands market trends, how to read these charts and technical signals and tell you whether now is the time to jump or whether you can hold off and float a little bit longer. We always recommend if it makes sense today, you're definitely saving money. No doubt about it, you should go for it. Save that money. Same thing with purchases, folks. Pay attention to the fees and costs. You might be getting a low rate quote from a company that's charging you lots of fees. Or a company that's charging a lot less fees might have a slightly higher rate. Doesn't make one better than the other. You got to do the math, but I will tell you, most of the time it's the lower fees with a slightly higher rate. That's the better deal for you. Do your own math, folks.
Speaking of math, okay, maybe I'm not speaking of math, but there was an article in the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago. I like to check out the mansion section of the Wall Street Journal just because it has housing trends and a lot of high-end kind of housing information. And
Have they ever featured your place in Manhattan?
They have not.
Okay.
My place in Manhattan, Kansas, not to be confused with Manhattan, New York. And it's not a penthouse; it's an outhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so no nudes is good nudes. What do you think of that, Craig? If you're showing your house that's for sale and you have classic pieces of artwork, or maybe they're not classic, but artwork that has nude bodies, do you think that you keep them up?
Maybe it would probably help sell the
Oh
home.
my gosh!
If
It probably would in a HUD foreclosure situation. So there's one, and this is there's one example of a Miami collector that was told by the real estate agent to hide their art because they thought it was sufficiently off-putting, or because they thought it may offend some people, and you want to attract the most broad audience as you can. And she was so off-put by it, she decided to take her house off the market because the art is a part of her life, and apparently so is the house. So now, while we can tell our general listening audience that making wise financial decisions that aren't based in emotion, that's our goal for you. Just like when you're in the bidding process, we discussed a couple weekends ago, is it's business, and keep it that way. Your artwork you didn't give birth to your artwork, or maybe you did if you're an artist, nor did it come with the house you purchased. It's a detachable object that we hope that you, when you go into negotiation, whether you're the seller or the buyer, that you consider it just that, a negotiation. And whatever puts you in the best position to achieve your financial goals, that's where you want to be. If you're getting a good deal on the house, you're getting a good deal on the house, regardless of whether somebody chose to pay $500 of your closing fees or they said, no way.
That's right.
All right, what's that music mean, Craig? What's that mean?
It means should somebody stay or should somebody go?
That's right. Somebody, Tricia in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, newest affiliate, and we appreciate you joining the team. That's KFNN 1510 AM and KFNN 99.3 FM. Just joined us a couple weekends ago. My husband and I are afraid of losing our rears by building the home we really dream of. We have the money, but you saw what happened the last time the market dropped here in Arizona. We still haven't recovered. Should we just accept that building our dream home is a bad financial investment and live where we know we can recoup all of our money and take a risk materially to have what we want? Okay, so
they're saying, or I think.
So it's should we move
and build a
and
dream
should
home,
we build a dream home, or
There
should
you
we
go.
stay where we are?
or stay, meaning be more practical with whatever the home may be.
Right.
All right, I'm going to tell you, this is a tough one. This is off of
Come
the
on.
subject.
Yeah.
I'm going to
And
say,
time's up, Mr.
I'm gonna
Miller.
say
You are kicked off of the hot seat.
stay.
Stay.
Meaning don't go nuts and build this dream home that you may not recoup your money. We see this oftentimes where people spend a lot of money, they upgrade, they pick all these things that they love. They think, if this is a home that you're going to live in for the rest of your life and you have the financial means, you can't put a dollar value on enjoying the home that you live in that you work hard for. So it could be a go. But for me, when it comes down to the bottom line, dollars and cents, and I've seen it happen and I made these decisions in my own life as well, I think it's better to make a decision a little bit leaning toward the financial best interest.
Please
versus,
be conservative. Is that bigger dream house really going to complete you? Is it really going to make you that much happier, worth
I
the
can
stress
answer that
if
right
it
now.
drops
You know?
significantly in value?
Yeah.
So if you've got money to spare, you're building a $500,000 house, you got $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 million in retirement and reserves, you're well positioned there, and $500,000 your dream house, we'd have a different take on that.
Yep.
But if the $500,000 you're going to spend on that house is greater, it is more than half of your liquid net worth, your savings, etc., then don't do it. All right, Craig, good one. You're getting the hang of things.
You can't buy happiness, folks. Well, you can. You just can't buy joy. What we don't want you to do is try to. We see this all the time where people do think that they've earmarked this little thing on their list of wants and dreams, and then they get it, and it's like, okay, that didn't do what we thought it was going to do for us. I can tell you, it does happen. So be smart.
So you said you can buy happiness, you can't buy joy.
You can't buy joy. Happiness is an external, fleeting emotion. Joy is an internal thing you can hold on to.
Deep thoughts
By Craig.
by Craig Miller.
And I have more where that came from.
They're
All right,
very,
let's
and
keep
they're very
rolling.
deep. So deep, most people can't understand them.
They drown
Present
when
company
trying.
included.
They drown when they get down there.
All right, so spring training is in full swing. Not just our baseball teams, but us getting ready for the summer, and that means it's either tax time. You're going to be chopping some trees down to fill out some paper. I guess it's not really paper anymore. Or it's getting that house ready so that you can save the most money and protect that investment that you made in the roof over your head. So we've got some tips for you on your spring maintenance checklist that you gotta listen to, you gotta pay close attention to, and you can check them out on the website. But I'm gonna give them to you right here in person when we return from this break. Live as you own it. All right, we're back. That's
We are back.
Craig on the drums, Mark
That's
on the
right.
vocals.
Exactly.
I wish
Only a
I
dog
have a
can
real-
hear it.
what's that?
I said it's so high pitched, only a dog can hear it.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so before the break, we told you we were going to share with you those spring maintenance tips. We got your checklist for you. You ready, Craig?
Let's do it.
Ready to go through them? Okay. You want to kick off the first one? Or you want me to?
I'll do it. Inspect brickwork and stucco. Spalling is a chipping or popping away of a brick's face, leaving the brick's interior susceptible to moisture and crumbling. Look for this in any deteriorated mortar that typically occurs on older homes. Is your brick plagued with efflorescence? those unsightly white deposits caused by soluble salts left behind during water evaporation. The Brick Industry Association recommends dry brushing them in warm weather to remove it. If you discover water penetration in brick, consider sealing the brick with an appropriate sealant. But this is a big one, Mark, because most people think I have a brick home, I've got a stone home, I've got some type of masonry, and it's solid, it's a rock, it's there's nothing, it lasts forever. Not the case.
Yep.
That mortar starts breaking down, cause major problems, and also like we talked about, the face of that brick or even stone in some cases can develop cracks or problems that can allow moisture to get in there. So.
And even, and a part here too is wood and wood rot. Our friend, and as you said, water, our friend Mike Holmes, the big guy, he tells us every time, water is thine enemy. Water getting into a house, getting into wood, getting into untreated surfaces, that is the enemy, the foundation. It doesn't matter where it is, the windows. You've got to keep water out. So whether you've got wood rot, you've got to fix it now. Because once water gets in, a lot more wood rot's going to occur and likely damage to the interior of the house, and that can also extend to the creation of mold. So keep water out, fix these pieces early, in spring. All right, Craig, what's the next one?
Replace rotted siding or trim and repaint as necessary. Again, another little deferred maintenance item we see often, and people let it go for too long, it becomes a problem. Repainting siding or trim is often more than a one-weekend project. For color consistency, you can't touch it up. You've got to get the whole thing painted. So paint a whole section if you can commit to the time and you have the money to do so. If you have paint problems in one section of the home and it's the same age as the other sections, paint the whole thing. Get it done in one shot. You'll be glad you did. You won't be letting fading go in there and you did this one section, it doesn't match with the next section. So we see that a lot.
You got it. All right. Also, an easy one here, clean the gutters and downspouts, folks. Again, why do you want to do that? Water. You don't want water clogging up in there, going in the roof. Standing water on your roof ultimately will degrade the roof and ultimately leak into your house in some fashion. So check the gutters, check the downspouts, and let me give you a quick little tip is if you're going to do this yourself, it's not real, if you're going to do it yourself, please be careful on that ladder. Please be careful on that ladder. Statistically, it is a very high number of people that are injured, sometimes injured seriously, by climbing up on that big ladder and trying to do their own repairs and falling over and hurting themselves. So
it happened to a client of mine, just doing what you said, cleaning leaves and debris out of gutters, fell, broke his back. The guy was a laborer, permanently disabled.
Oh, man.
Cannot go back to work still to this day. So it can happen. It can change your life, folks.
And at Life As You Own It, we recommend get you some gutter guards. Get them installed well. That way you're going to save on this annual rite of spring. Did you ever have to clean your parents' gutters when you were younger?
That wasn't one of the jobs that I had to do, but there was lots of outdoor cleanup and mowing and things like that, but not gutter cleanup.
I remember doing it. I thought, oh, that's an easy job, climbing up there with a hose and everything. And it always took about 4 times as long as I thought it might. So next is right in line with cleaning the gutters while you're up there, or better yet, you can get up and inspect your roof, but also have a roofer come inspect your roof. Just know that they may have a vested interest in telling you that you need some repairs. So get as specific as they can do, and then get them to get you up on that ladder again. Just be careful and show you what repairs need to be done. You can't wait till water starts coming through to make the repairs because you've already probably done some additional damage.
And these days, folks, honestly, you don't have to get up on that roof. Most roofers use really good digital cameras when they're up there. They take pictures of everything.
You're right.
And they'll come down and say, here's what I took a picture of here, here, here. And they'll walk around the house with you and point to the sections they're talking about. And they'll give you an idea of what's wrong and how to fix it and how much it's going to cost.
So I stand corrected. Don't climb up on that ladder. Just like we said before, don't get on the ladder.
Yeah.
Make sure they got a digital camera. All right. Also, get a chimney checkup. No better time now than whenever you're in the season where it's going to get a lot of rain and a lot of wind, etc. We may think, oh, I'm not going to be burning the fireplace. Well, no, we're not concerned about the fire. We're concerned about water getting in. So check that chimney cap. Make sure that you've got a chimney sweep in there, and no downside of getting it cleaned while they're in there.
That's right.
I guess they're not technically in there. They're not in the chimney.
Yeah,
Their hands might be. They're looking down. They're taking a lens down there. And
if it's
again,
an old school, big old chimney, they get in there. But
Yeah.
if it's like most, they're not.
all right, what else, Craig?
Don't overlook your attic. Check your attic for proper ventilation and bird's nests. Those critters can get in there, all sorts of critters. I mean, we've had people tell us that they've had fairly large squirrels or rodents and stuff getting inside there. So look for obstructions over vents, damaged soffit panels, roof flashing leaks, wet spots on insulation, all that good stuff. That can cause long-term damage. keeping a good airflow will save money when it comes to cooling costs. And when you're rooting around in there, wear long sleeves and gloves to protect yourself from the insulation. Don't just start crawling around in there and getting all that fiberglass insulation jagging into your skin. It's almost like tiny little shards of that stuff can get in your skin and be very irritated, if not infected.
And on a side note, folks, the ice dams that many people experienced this year because of the crazy winter weather, those are because you didn't have proper ventilation and insulation in your attic. We won't get into that until next year, but again, that ventilation is important all season long. All right, also check your heat and air unit. And change the batteries in your smoke detectors. No better time than this spring, or the carbon monoxide detectors, which we recommend you have both. Get those batteries changed out and make sure you get a tune-up on your heating and cooling. It will save you real dollars. All right, Craig, we're going to save the last couple when we come back from our break. We're also going to give you the odds on winning that $1 billion for your perfect bracket. Life as you own it.
Life as you own it. I hope I get a good mic check there. Is that good? Can you hear me good? Is that all right? All right. Mark, I don't know why.
I can hear you loud and clear.
My headphones aren't telling me that I can hear myself. Okay, so Mark, we got to wrap this spring action.
We got a lot more information to cover, and we don't have much time. So we've got left off at inspect your roof, to get the chimney checkup, overlook your attic, check your heating and cooling, prune landscape and create good drainage. Remember, folks, the theme here is rain is a-coming. Make sure that it goes away from the house and not inside the house. Give your concrete a little TLC. Seal where needed. Make those patches. Seal the driveway because, again, all of this rain is going to further damage if it's not prepared. Also, weatherproof windows and doors. Not only is this going to keep the water out, it is going to save on your it's going to save on your cooling bill. Weatherproof means you can provide the strip. You can do all that you need to do to make sure there is no air coming through. We also recommend you should check out getting an energy efficiency audit at your home. They sometimes cost $300 to $400. It could save you that $300 to $400 in the next 6 months to a year. And finally, don't forget the sump pump. Remember, folks, make sure that sump pump is working. We recommend checking it, getting a battery backup, because when it rains a lot, oftentimes the power goes out. Last thing you want to be doing is getting down with a bunch of cups trying to beat the water as it's running in your basement. So double check the sump pump. Folks, a tip from our friends at Midwest Professional Insurance Services, make sure that your policy includes water sewer backup. Definitely, if you got a sump pump, there's probably a chance that this house has either gotten water or someone thought it might get water. But make sure you've got water sewer backup. What is that? That means in the event your basement floods, etc., your insurance covers it. Not every policy has this. Thanks, MPIS. All right, that music means it's time for another Should You Stay or Should You Go? Craig, you ready?
I'm ready.
Warmed up. I can see you're getting your mojo back. Getting the feel of things here. Myra in New Jersey wrote, I'm relocating for a 3-year job contract that will have me in Chicago for 3 to 4 years. I like the idea of owning my own home, but I know I'll return to the East once this job is up. Or at least I think I will. So, stay or go, rent or buy. Thanks for your input. Thanks for your question, Myra. Craig, go.
So, rent or buy, stay or go. I'm going to say stay, which would mean rent. And the reason is we have a general rule of thumb, although it's not exact science. 4 to 5 years, if you think you're going to be in a home for 4 to 5 years in today's market, you'll probably be able to break even, recover from that transaction. But the expense of selling that home, between real estate commissions and all that, they will probably absorb any appreciation that you would have over a 3-year period of time. So, with a little grain of salt here, unless you find an amazingly good investment that you think, wow, this would be something I could turn around and flip in a couple years, go for it. But otherwise, I would stay with renting because you just don't know what this market's going to be like in 3 or 4 years.
Stay, stay, stay. That's what we say. All right, folks, remember, if you've got a question, we've got an answer. You can reach out to us, 800-492-4664, or email us questions@lifeasyouownit.com. You don't care what the question is. You need some advice. We're here for you. You've got a should you stay or should you go scenario you'd like us to contemplate for you, maybe even read on air like these that we've selected this week. We'd love to do it. Challenge us. We're here for you. All right, Craig, we got through our spring maintenance checklist, and now it's time to talk about the odds in winning the big old $1 billion giveaway. All right, Craig, so are you ready? You know what the odds are?
Tell me the odds, Mark. I don't know the exact odds.
Okay, with a 68-team field, the odds of getting every pick right and winning a cool $1 billion are 1 in 9.2 quintillion. That's Tillion with a Quinn.
Exactly.
So, folks, pretty high odds. But, Craig's got 5 ways you can increase your odds of making sure you get the best, and the right deal on your refinance or purchase transaction. Because, folks, guess what? When you complete this, questionnaire, or I'm sorry, when you complete your bracket, which is sponsored by a large national mortgage lender, you're probably going to get solicited for a mortgage opportunity. So we're here to tell you how you can increase your odds of getting the very best deal on your mortgage, whether it's with that company or any other company. Ready, Craig?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're on, my man.
Now, some mathematician has done the math that assumes that there's no one's going to win this money, but they also have to budget for the fact that they might have to pay this out, so I think their fees are probably going to go up. Now, folks, you got to be really careful with stuff like this, because here's the bottom line. Any gimmick that's out there, gimmicks lead to greater expense to you. We've seen it for years in the mortgage industry, so we don't want you falling for getting a free autographed baseball bat or something if you'll do a mortgage loan, or winning money, because guess what? It will cost you more money probably to get that. So, number 1, get educated. You're listening to the Life As You Own It show, so that's 1, but get educated. Do the math, do the facts, or get the facts straight, and understand what it is you need and how best to go about doing a refinance transaction. Number 2, shop around. You've got to shop. You've got to make sure you compare to other lenders. Don't just think, well, okay, it makes some sense. I think I can save some money. Well, maybe there's a better deal out there. Number 3, folks, you've got to pay attention to the fees and costs. Please pay attention to the fees and costs. Fees and costs are the enemy of you saving money. We always tell you it's as important as the rate itself. Many people do not break even when they refinance. They don't net any savings. Their payment might drop, but they've added so much back into the refinance balance when they roll those closing costs in that they never end up keeping the loan long enough or staying in the home long enough to recoup all that money. So don't fall for that trap. Number 4, looking at interest rate itself. Again, part of the shopping around process is paying attention to the rate and comparing one lender to another, but make sure that all terms are being quoted equal. I've had people tell me, I'm getting quoted a fixed rate of this, and it's the deal I'm going with, only to find out it's a different term of loan than what they're comfortable with or should be in. I'll tell you that number 5 fits right in with number 4, really, and that is this. You need an actual mortgage plan, a plan that fits as a cornerstone piece of your overall financial plan. So make sure that you discuss this with either a certified mortgage planner who's got the integrity to give you the right advice, a CPA, somebody that you trust that's financially savvy in your family or friends, but get a plan together that fits your overall short and long-term goals financially.
All right, Craig, that was 5, right?
That was 5.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about that spring home buyer's market. It is a heating up. We're going to tell you what to do if that appraisal comes in low. Life As You Own It. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, folks. Life As You Own It. This is the last segment. Craig, did it go by quickly?
It did.
Did you enjoy yourself being back?
I was craving some codeine, but hey, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's another story.
Pass me some pain pills, baby.
That's
All
right.
good.
Those of you just tuning in, well, Craig has actually had a procedure done recently, so he is actually back on the mend, but worthy of a little bit of medication for the pain, that is.
Yeah, I'm
And
getting,
other things.
I've been getting off of it, but
all
I
right.
needed it first. Okay, so what are we talking about here? We've got to talk about this heating up.
That's right. Just like the weather, the springtime housing market is heating up. So what happens if your appraisal comes in lower than your purchase price? Craig.
It's more common than you'd think, folks. And what's happening is that obviously as buying activity picks up, but selling activity hasn't. We don't see as many people putting their homes on the market either out of the fear of not finding a home themselves to replace it, just thinking it's not going to sell, being still kind of captured into that thinking that, oh man, the market's just not good enough to sell my house for what I think it's worth, which isn't true. What we're seeing happen a lot now is because of the competition for one home between 2 or 3, even 3 potential buyers, people are getting into bidding wars, or they're offering full asking price, or even above in some cases. What you got to make sure you do first and foremost before you make an offer on a house is make sure it makes financial sense. Don't get caught up in the emotion in the moment, and you really love it and it's neat. You can daydream about living there, but 2 other people are also putting in offers, and so they say highest and best. What's your best offer? Put it down. We'll see who gets the winning bid and gets this house. Well, go ahead and educate yourself, will you? Please have your realtor give you comparable properties to compare. What are homes similar or just like this one selling for, and what have they been selling for in the last 90 to 180 days? I think going outside of 6 months is not indicative of today's market, and also because it was a different season and time of year. We're getting to the point where that was winter, and that makes a difference as well. So let's take a look at the last 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 months if you have to. What is sold? How much is it sold for? How similar was it? And make sure that the price that you're being willing to pay, don't get caught up in paying too much. What does happen if that is the case, and I've bought a home personally before for $10,000 more than what it would appraise for, which caused me to have to put the additional $10,000 down on top of my regular down payment. That's an option number one. You can say, fine, we still think it's worth the money, we want it. We were going to put 20% down. Now we're going to put down the 20% plus the differential between the appraised value and the agreed upon price. That's what you'd have to do to maintain an 80% loan to value, because that loan, folks, is going to be based upon the appraisal if it's lower, not the purchase price. So keep that in mind. Number two, you can renegotiate. Sometimes people feel handicapped to renegotiate. They got into this buying frenzy. They got into this bidding war. Appraisal comes in low. Don't sell yourself short. Go ahead and offer to pay less for the home. The people may say, look, we don't want to have to write another contract or take a chance that a backup offer is going to come along. We're just going to go ahead and sell it for what it appraised for and take what we can. It's always worth a try. Mark, other suggestions you've got? I mean, I don't want to tell all of these answers, but I will.
I'll give them all. You're good.
Okay. So, you know, those are an option you have. The other thing that you'll see sometimes is people renegotiating on maybe closing costs being paid, or working with the lender to restructure the loan with less down payment, things like that. So explore your loan options with your lender, explore your negotiating options with the realtor themselves, and sometimes, not trying to cut any realtor commissions out there, but sometimes a realtor will say, hey, look, we're $5,000 away, we're going to split that down the middle between the selling and the agent and the buying agent, taking a less commission, allowing the seller to sell the home for less money and still net the same money. Everybody wins, everybody still gets a sale, buyer still gets to buy, the seller still gets to sell. That is an option as well. But there are many different options. The main thing is work with a consummate professional who has already prepared you before you make your offer to know what range you're probably looking at. And if you expect it to come in low, already have make some decisions ahead of time of what you think you're going to be doing. Putting more money down, trying to renegotiate. What is your position going to be if it does happen? Because again, it's happening more and more. So
Remember, try to take the emotion out, and I know it's hard because it's a home. You visualize yourself being in it. But in business transactions and in any dealings in life, cooler heads generally prevail. With that little note, we're going to tell you, have a fantastic week. Thanks for hanging out with us, and remember to
stay classy.